You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Can't wait to get into our Mindset and Motivation Monday topic of the day, and that is 9 areas of your life that you absolutely cannot delegate or pass on to anyone else. They are simply too important for you to pass them off, for you to believe that someone else is going to be able to do them for you or help you with them. So why I want to go over those today is because over the next week or two, I am going to help you on the show go through strategies, real world strategies for setting yourself up for this coming year that's going to enable you and me to have our best year yet. We're going to be in this together. We're going to be working this on a weekly basis to make sure that you are making progress towards your goals, some of which we will talk about today. So, why I want to go through today's show is this, is that it is okay to have a coach, no doubt about it. And it's okay to have a personal trainer and a doctor and a acupuncturist and other people giving you advice. Absolutely. And what I would say is this, having those people is actually showing you are taking control of your life, that you are enabling yourself to do the work to a better degree with a focused plan. So I'm not saying that you can't look to others for support. And that means social support as well. No doubt about that. There's nothing wrong with talking things over with a therapist, with a friend, with a sibling, with a parent, whatever it might be. Those are all good things. But what I want you to realize, though, is that at the end of the day, it comes down to you following through on what you've set for goals in your life. And I don't want to overwhelm you with all of the possibilities that you could do and can achieve. So what I want to do is break those down into areas, some of which you're already doing great. Don't worry about those as much. Focus in on the ones that really speak to you, that call to you, that this has to get done. That's how I look at my own life, is that I'm listening to the voice in my head that is saying over and over, look at this, don't forget about this. Meaning like the thing that keeps coming up, maybe it only comes up once a month or every couple weeks or once, I've gone through this before. I opened my wellness center because for years, the thought kept coming up, wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great, if you did this? Wouldn't it be great if you opened up, your own wellness center? Now, there's a lot that goes into that. It's not the right decision for everyone, but that, to me, was the fulfillment of a dream that started when I was about 19 years old, when I had met my first non-medical doctor that just showed me there is another way. They didn't have all the answers. They weren't able to get me well right away, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'll be forever grateful to them that they pointed me in the right direction. And then from there I said, wow, what if this works? Wouldn't it be great to open up a center like this, be able to help others just like me in the future? And so it went away, and then it would come back, and then it would go away, and then it would come back. And I said, okay, there might be something to this. If I work towards it, an opportunity presents itself, I'm going to have to make a real hard decision if I want to do this. Now, this is a bigger decision, right? Because you're investing all of those different types of things. But what I'm talking about today, though, is setting yourself up in core areas of life. Not necessarily career. That could be one. It could be part of your goals. But 9 areas that I just honestly believe no one else at the end of the day is going to be able to do them for you. There's a lot of things in life that you can outsource, that you can delegate, that you can ask for help with. No doubt about that. But there are core things in your life that your happiness, your health, a lot depends on you actually doing the work. Now, we live in a society where me just saying that, people get turned off. Like, oh, I don't want to do the work. Well, hopefully, if you're listening to this podcast, if you've been listening for a while now, that you understand that our community is probably a little bit different. And because of that, we realize that we are able to take control of our own life. And because we take control of our own life, we begin to manifest more of what we want in life. So we actually make happen what a lot of people dream about because we're not afraid to maybe fail in the beginning, but realize that it's not a failure, that it's simply learning. It's an experience that you can grow from and that you can recalibrate and get back on target and realize, well, now you know one more way that won't work. Okay, so if we make a list of all the ways that do not work, trust me, you will eventually find your answer. I'm living proof of that. I went through everything that would not work first, and I'm actually happy that I did. I'm going to tell you why. I went through everything for 10 years of what does not work. Now, some of it worked a little bit, and some of it works actually really great in these cases, just not in mine. So what did I learn over 10 years? A lot of trial and error, and a lot about every or most forms of medicine. And then I decided to say, okay, I'm going to take this to the next level once I met my mentor. She said, go back to school, get your degree, study. She didn't say go all over the world. That's just kind of my personality. But now I'm able to do that. But remember, if I had gotten well right away, I would most likely not have this podcast. I wouldn't have opened up a wellness center. I wouldn't be teaching over 1,000 integrative health practitioners how to teach this to other people. So never be afraid of going through those obstacles and trials and tribulations in life. They oftentimes are what's most valuable when you get out of them. Now, remember, when you're in it, I agree, it's not a whole lot of fun. I was not happy any of those days that I was sick, all right? But I have a different perspective now. So if I ever catch a cold, if I get run down, if anything happens, I say, okay, that's all right. I'm going to be better in a couple days because I have perspective now. I will get well, and I'm going to treat my body and my health to an even greater degree. So it brings us back to center. But remember, you learn a lot more through a lot of your losses in life, a lot of your trials that ultimately lead to your greatest successes. But you don't learn a lot just if things are easy, you don't learn a whole lot. You learn a lot by having to recalibrate. And then you realize there's a whole lot of other people in life just like you, and you can teach this to them as well. Not just about health, any area of your life. I mean, again, I talk about the big five. I'm going to be going through a lot of those today right now. So why don't we dive right into that? And the first one is this, no doubt about it. Health has to be a top priority. I would say the highest priority. Now, you might say, no, my kids are my first priority. My spouse is my first priority. My parents are whatever it might be. Okay. And I get that. I understand. And it's coming from a good place. The problem is this. If you get run down, if you get sick, if something happens to you, who's taking care of you? And then who's taking care of all the people you were caring for? So you always have to be number one for unselfish reasons. People are like, oh, that's selfish. No. If you fill up your cup all the way, you are able to pour more out for others. That's the bottom line. That's why I do not believe in this poverty-based mindset, in this struggle-based mindset, in this victim-based mindset. I don't. Victims, and I say that with a very sensitive mind, I realize, because I was in that same place myself, so I get it, I realize it. But you have to understand is that the better you are, the stronger you are, the more of everything you have in life, the more that you can give. Who can give more? The person that makes $1 million a year or the person that makes $30,000 a year, right? How hard is it for that person who has $30,000 a year to write out a check for $10,000 to their favorite charity? They're giving away a third of their income. You know, the government already might have taken a third of their income, and now they're giving a third. They can't live on $10,000 a year, right? They can't live on $1,000 a month for their rent, for their food, for their family. No. But it's probably much easier for the person who made $1 million a year to write a check for $10,000. So again, your goal doesn't have to be to make $1 million a year. It's just simply a point, meaning that person, they made more and they can give more. That's it, just because they have more. Now, you might have more energy, right? And so you are then able to help someone dealing with chronic fatigue-based syndrome, and you might help someone with hypothyroidism and all sorts of other issues because you've taken care of yourself from a health perspective. So there's all perspectives to look at this from, but remember, it is not selfish to fill up your cup as long as you decide to share with others along the way. And I know that people listening to this podcast in this community do that, which is why I always, and I know that I shouldn't assume this, but I want you to realize that I want to build you up so that you can build others up. There's no way. I mean, when I learned all of this, I never believed that I would get well. And that's why I understand the position you're in. If you're not feeling well, if your career's not where it should be, whatever it is, it's hard to believe in the beginning, but you have to believe because you can make it happen. And then once you do, though, or you say to yourself, hey, when I figure this out, not if, when I figure this out, I use the word if, but you should use when I figure this out, I will share this with others. Now, again, mine was health. Yours could be spirituality, career, relationships, whatever it might be. But you just say, when I figure this out, and I will share this with others. And if it's only one other person, is that okay? Yes. Because you changed the life and trajectory of someone's life by sharing with them how you did it. And that's what matters. I honestly feel, I don't know why we're truly here, right? I don't. It's a mystery. People can come up with all sorts of different types of conjecture of why it is. I believe we are here to figure something out. And I believe along the way, we're meant to help others do the same. We're meant to provide service to our fellow woman and man. And that's really what it's all about. If nothing else, we can live a really great life being of service to others. But you have to take care of yourself first. Again, going back to my favorite Jim Rohn quote. So basically, the quote is this, and I'll give you the exact quote. I'll take care of me for you, and you take care of you for me. Right? That's the best way to do that. Now, some other people can't take care of them. That is when you have so much inside of you that you help them. And then one day, they'll be able to do that for others. All right, let's get into those 9 areas right now that you absolutely cannot pass on to anyone else, that you can't delegate, that you can't outsource. The first one is this, it's health. I mentioned that simply because if you do not have your health, you are no good to anyone else, and you are asking others then to care for you. And sometimes you'll need to. In the beginning, when I was very sick, my parents took me to all the specialists. They drove me around town. They paid, for all those different types of things. We couldn't afford every lab test. We did what we could. And that was it. Again, I had a certain budget that I made for myself of what I could spend on supplements every month. And I did that. And that's where everything went to. I made a lot of sacrifices to do that. And so did my family. But again, once I got well, then I wasn't as much of, not a burden, but yeah, I guess I was, I was a burden on the family. And I look at that and I realize that, but that is where I was in my life right now. And now I feel like I've risen above that to such a degree where now hopefully I can give back tenfold. Right? That's what I try to do. How can I give back tenfold because I was in a tough position many years ago? And so that's what I've dedicated my life to. More of service rather than taking. Instead of taking, I'm trying to give more. And I feel like I have a lot more that I have to give and should give, and I plan on doing that. All right, the next one is this. It's your fitness. Now, notice I didn't say transforming your body. That's okay. That's a good goal. But you can't delegate your fitness. That means the shape that you're in internally as well. So people, they want six-pack abs. They want a flat stomach, right? Okay, nothing wrong with that. I'm okay with that. But here's what I want to say, is that you need to also make sure that you are doing well from a cardiovascular function, from an overall fitness. So I don't want you to be winded walking up 4 flights of stairs. If you complain about walking up 4 flights of stairs, we need to get that fitness improved. And again, I'm not coming down on you, but that's the truth. I want you to be strong, all right? I want you to be strong from the inside out. So if you can't run a mile, now again, I know that someone might have a knee injury. I get it. So if you can't bike 5 miles or run a mile, and again, it doesn't have to be at a fast pace, then we need to work on that. If you can't do 5 push-ups, we need to work on that. And you don't have to become Mr. or Mrs. Olympia or a fitness model in order to do this. But you can't delegate that, okay? You can hire a personal trainer, and that's a great idea. If you're in Boston, we'd love to see you. Now, we can set you with a program, whatever it might be. If you're in Chicago, look up top personal trainers there. You don't have to meet with a personal trainer every single day. You honestly don't. You can even just get set up with a program. What if you say, I can't afford a personal trainer? No problem at all. What else would you do? Well, you could get an online workout. You could get a book to follow. So there's a lot of things that you could do. But what you want to do, though, is take control of your overall fitness. It's a great thing to do. That's what we want you to do. Take control of your fitness. Get in amazing shape for you from a fitness-based level. And again, a coach, a book, an online workout, whatever it is, can show you the program, but it's you who has to do the work. All right. Next up, number 3 is this. You cannot ask someone else what your purpose should be, what your passion should be. Each and every Motivation and Mindset Monday, I like to share with you how to find that to a greater degree. And it is a bit of a search. It's part of that, our discovery through life. And it can change. It can morph a little bit. Now, again, I didn't know that this is what I was going to move into in a certain field until, realistically, around 20 years old. And then I said, oh, yeah, this is what I want to do. I had already become a certified nutritional specialist. I had become a certified personal trainer. I was taking yoga certifications, sports and conditioning, National Strength and Conditioning Association, all those different types of things. I realized that, I really did love this. I love learning about nutritional supplements. I loved it. So I moved into it. But I wasn't on, that was not my trajectory when I was 8 years old. I learned about it. So there's a lot of people that we work with in IHP and other places, and, they're 50 years old, and they're like, you know what, I've been an attorney for this long, or in finance or accounting or whatever it is, and they say, you know what, I really enjoy health. I want to help people to a greater degree in their health. And we say, great, you can start part-time without, quitting your job. You can do a couple consultations at night with people, after they get out of work. A lot of people want to do calls. You could do that. And you could start small and then start to say, okay, I'm going to work 4 days a week as an accountant and 1 day as a certified health coach. Okay, great. And then that might become 3 days. And so there's ways to do it. But again, no one should tell you your purpose, and your passions can change throughout life. Those are yours. They really are. They're honestly yours. And one big thing is this. Remember, they're not your parents. A good friend of mine, everyone in his family had to become a doctor. He didn't want to be a doctor. He loved the personal training industry. What did he do? He became a chiropractor. A chiropractor is a doctor, but it was closer to the field that he wanted to be in. He never practiced a day in his life as a chiropractor or doctor. He opened up a gym, which was his passion, and now he is one of the most successful gym-based chains in California. So when you look at it, listen, your parents are well-meaning. They are. They're there to protect you. That's what your parents really do. A lot of, great parents, they mean the best and they want the best for you, but sometimes they hold you back. When I told my parents I was opening my first location back in end of 2006, they tried to talk me out of it. Not strongly, because they knew I was going to do whatever I wanted to do anyways with my personality, but they were looking out for my best interests. They were worried about me. They were worried about taking on all of the rent, and they were worried about, I was already doing well in the industry. Why take on all this overhead and this, this long lease term? And that was not their decision to make. They can provide me with advice, and that's okay. And of course, I got a little, upset at that, and they didn't support me with it. But of course, now they do, right? Because they've seen it work. And what I want for you is this. Your passion, your purpose is you. It's you. It's what talks to you on the inside from your heart, not necessarily from your brain. It's what guides you in life towards your purpose of what you're so passionate about that you would honestly do it every day for free, even if it wasn't part of your career or a hobby or whatever it is, because it doesn't have to be a career. It could be painting, it could be music, it could be dance, it could be any of those things that you love that aren't a career, that they're a passion of yours. Work those into your life. The next part going along that is your goals. Your goals are yours. So this coming new year, we all have goals, right? Every single one of us, or we should. Now, again, when I say I have goals and you have goals, you should. But here's the thing. Give gratitude for where you're at right now. I'm happy with life right now. But that doesn't mean I can't say, oh, well, I also want to shoot for this. There's nothing wrong with that. Be satisfied. Be grateful. You say, I have enough. I am good. But I would also like to achieve this. And that's okay. And remember, these are yours. They're not your siblings' goals. They're not your parents' goals. They're not your kids' goals. They're not your friends' goals. You can have different goals. I've had many people step away from their social circle because their goals are different. They still see them every week, 2 weeks or so, once a week, every couple weeks. But they run with a new crowd now. And it's a new crowd because they have different goals. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Your friends or siblings or whoever, they're not bad people. They just don't align necessarily with what you're looking to achieve. You don't have to forget about them. They're still there. Go see them. Nothing wrong with that. But now you have new goals and you have new undertakings. The fifth one is this. These three go together. Your passion, purpose, your goals, and now your personal development. Okay? Nobody can do the work for you. And when I say work, that doesn't mean like going to work and doing your job. No. Personal development is different. Personal development is how do you as a person become better, so good that you then step into your goals and your purpose. I've done a podcast on this before, and I'm going to see if we can try to link that up today. Today is episode 1403, stephencabral.com/1403. And we're going to try to link up the be, do, get formula. So you have to understand is that a lot of people want the gets. The get is the achievement of your goal, okay? We want that in life. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, you dream about a car, a home, travel, a career, a body, whatever it might be. But there are steps before that, okay? And I outline those in that show. So you need to become a certain person, the type of person that would achieve that goal. And I go through this on actually many shows. I go through it on the SMART formula, SMART. And I can talk more about these if you're interested. Again, this show is about you. It really is. So let me know your feedback. What would you like me to talk about? And we can go over those specific things. So remember, personal development is what you do to become the person who is worthy of owning that home, car, the travel, the body, etc. It's the things that you do to become the person which ultimately allows you to be able to step into that life. All right, the sixth one is this, spirituality. You cannot look to someone else to tell you how to be spiritual. Now, this may seem like a contradiction, but it's not. You can read the books of whatever religion that you decide to participate in, and I'm not here to judge. You can talk with your pastor, rabbi, etc., and give you some guidance, but it is ultimately you who has to feel the feelings of the spiritual connectedness. And that's why different voices speak to different people. And if you feel very strongly about your religion, your spirituality, you may want to share that with others. And I get that as well, because you want to share with others what it did for you. And that's a noble thing. Well, if that speaks to another person, then great. They may get to enjoy that as well. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. We can be different. We can have different religions. We don't have to hate each other over Republican or Democrat, Jewish, Christian, Catholic, Muslim, etc. I don't believe that those things have to divide all of us. In the end, we're all humans. We're all struggling through the same existence, the same journey, and trying to do our best to make sense of it, to move our life forward, to become better. So your spirituality, you can't be handed off. It's something that you do for you. The next one is relationships, okay? So difficult to say, oh, well, I'll work on that next month after all my travel's over, or, you know what, we're going to get through this now and we'll go through the hard times now and it'll be better when, the kids leave the house, whatever it might be. You can't do that. Your relationships are about you and that connection with one other human, not more than one other person. Remember, your relationships are one-to-one with each individual child, not your children, okay? It's with each child, or it's with each parent, or each sibling. And they have to be nurtured. And you can't outsource that. You can't just send a text, send a whatever. You can, like that's all part of it, but you have to be the one to put some time into that, to put some thought into it, and oftentimes do some things that are a little bit more difficult, that take a little bit more time. But those are the things that ultimately lead to greater connectedness, greater relationships. The eighth one is parenting. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You know, again, my wife and I are both super busy as well, but we can't outsource our parenting. And I know that a lot of people work 2 jobs, or it's very difficult for them to see their kids because they're working to support their family. I get that as well. Listen, I get it, but we can only do our best. So what I'm saying is the time that you have with your children, it has to be you. So if you're not with your kids a lot, and I'm not here to judge, put the phone away. Put the phone away. I mean, your kids will see you on that phone. And remember, once they're teenagers as well, if they have a phone or anything like that, that's what they're going to mimic. And they're already going to want to create that separation, right? To find their own, to become their own person. As much as you can, put the digital stuff away, the TVs, iPads, and phones, and develop the relationship now. I see it with my own 2 young girls. I realize that there's a finite period of time that I have. Even like, again, my youngest daughter, she just turned 5, she's 4 years old. She's not going to remember a lot of these specific memories. She's still very young. But this each day nurtures her into our relationship and who she will become, even if she doesn't remember the specific trips or memories. So all of it matters. So keep that connectedness going. And the last one is this. Your enjoyment in life, your happiness in life, can never come from anyone else. Now, this is a whole topic and show in itself, and I've talked about this on a previous Motivation and Mindset Monday, and I would love for you to check out that show as well. But you cannot find happiness in another person, and here's why. Your enjoyment can't come from another person, even if it's your spouse. Because if you are always looking to someone else for your happiness, your enjoyment, that they have to be happy for you to be happy, when they have a bad day, that means you have a bad day. You are at the whim of other people's emotions. And when that happens, you can't be fully whole. Because if you're not happy, most likely your health is going to suffer. You're going to be tired. You really are. You're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to be depressed. You're not going to want to work out. You're not going to work on your goals. You won't even set goals, so you're not going to do any personal development. Your spirituality is going to wane because you're going to say, what's the point of all of this? Your relationship's already suffering because it's at the whim of someone else's emotions, and you feel powerless to try to help. So what I want you to do is focus on this. You ultimately have to control your happiness. You should care about other people's feelings. But the bottom line is that you have to be happy for you, and you have to enjoy life regardless of other people's emotional-based state. Now, that does not mean that you won't have sad days, that you won't be upset, that you won't be angry. Remember, as humans, we experience the entire emotional spectrum. But what it means is this, is that you are in control of your emotions, that you cannot rely on anyone else to create happiness in your life. And that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. That's empowering for you. That should allow you to understand and believe that you are the creator of your destiny, of your life. That you realize that if you are willing to do the work in any area of your life, that will enable you to become the type of person who gets to enjoy the spirituality, career, relationships, body, and health that you desire. And honestly, you deserve it because you are in the fraction of a 1% who says, I can take control of my life. I can do what I need to do. I won't always be successful, but I will learn from my failures and losses so that I can ultimately recalibrate, get back on course, and achieve every goal I've set for myself. Thank you so much for tuning into this Motivation and Mindset Monday. I appreciate you as always. And if this was helpful, please do feel free to pass it along to anyone else you believe it could serve. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.